Hi, everybody. Peter Lurie here to take you through the week that was on HRTV. Bill and Susan Kasner stopped by race day fresh off their Kentucky Derby victory.
Tell us about this Derby experience. Now, as horsemen, we've all dreamt, I think, of what it would be like to win the Kentucky Derby. But how does, Susan, you first, how does the reality of winning it compare with what you might have imagined it to be?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, there's just nothing that can compare to it. All the years that we've been in horse racing on the backside and as owners, I mean, that's what we work towards, and that's always your hope. It's always out there in the distance. You never forget about it. And so we just are very blessed, I mean, that we were able to win this Kentucky Derby.
And Bill, I've heard you two talk about different horses that you've owned over the years, Colonel John and Well Armed. Sometimes you'll say, that's Susan's horse, or that's Bill's horse. Susan this morning said, this is your horse. Tell us about that.
No, this isn't my horse. This is the WinStar team's horse. This victory belongs to our team, as all of our wins do. Everything has to go perfect from the time that mare presents that foal breathes first life. Everything has to go perfect until that horse crosses the finish line. And there are so many. There are hundreds of people that are involved in that process, and every one of them is critical to having that horse be the best that he can be on the first Saturday in May.
Blind Luck's owner Peter Abruzzo talks about his Kentucky Oaks experience.
Well, we were nervous. There's 14 horses. We were considering the Derby, and with 20 horses, because we thought she was the quality horse to win it. And knowing her style, you always have a concern because there is 14 other horses in the Churchill, but if we had a clear run at it, we thought we'd have a really good chance. And the outcome was a little close for us on our nerves, but the outcome is that we won, and it was a great experience.
Did you all look at each other and kind of try to gauge, did she get there, did she not get there? What was the consensus right as she hit the wire?
My box is in 317. I'm right on the wire. So watching it live, I thought she got there. Then when I watched the replay, I wasn't sure. That's when the nerves really kind of set in. And it was exciting to win it, though. I mean, it really was. It's an experience that's it's hard to explain unless you own a horse of this quality, and I have in the past. But to win it, on Kentucky Oaks, it's a special day, and it's a special event, and it's a special race.
Pimlico's Mike Gaffigan tries to sort out the Preakness probables on Pursuit.
Preakness Field probables, who is confirmed, who's on the bubble? What do you know at this point?
Well, I tell you, Lafitte and Millie, I'm going to tell you, I think that we're at 13. Now, we're not a guaranteed 13, but I'm saying Super Saver, Looking at Lucky, Patio Prado, First Dude, Jackson Bend, Dublin, Northern Giant, Aconite, Caracatado, Hurricane Ike, Pleasant Prince, Schoolyard Dreams, and A Little Warm. They would be the 13 if you put a gun to my head tonight and said, who do you think is going to start in the Preakness next Saturday? That's what I think.
Now, Mike, Calvin probably would be the only jockey doing the rain dances. Super Savers seem to love the off track. But do you get more of a sense of accomplishment if you have a Kentucky Derby Preakness winner and you're sending a possible Triple Crown winner onto the Belmont?
Millie, that's a good question. I tell you, for us, I think, after what happened with Barbara, I think we just want to have every horse, and this was before Barbara, we want to have every horse get around safely, and not just the Preakness, but every race every day. So, for us in the media relations department, we just want to have a good couple weeks from helping promoting the race, having the trainers and the owners and jocks, helping us pump the race, and we're able to do that. You know, I talked to Calvin and Bill Kasner yesterday, and Calvin was talking about, I know you guys led the story with how he worked really well at Churchill, but Calvin and Todd both told me yesterday that they thought the turning point was the Arkansas Derby. He had the ability to relax, and even though they didn't win that day, they both thought he was kind of peaking at the right time. So so they bode well, because obviously they're fit when they go there, and they stay fit. You know, the majority of the time the Derby winner runs really well back in 2 weeks.
Mike, you got to love this year's slogan, "Get your preak on." Who came up with that? Brilliant.
There's an ad agency in D.C., and they came up. You know, we get criticized here in the Baltimore market for doing the same thing, and kind of resting on the laurels just because it's a tradition and it's a huge race, and so this ad company in D.C. came up with this slogan, and it's certainly creating a storm in the market. You know, it's you either love it or you hate it.
Trainer Mike Makowski explains how Cara Cortado is advanced as the Preakness draws near.
Things changed because you were trying to make the Derby with this horse, but then you just backed up. Why the change in plans, and what sort of went along with that once you made up your mind not to go to the Derby?
Well, one thing that was hitting us in the head was the earnings. We didn't look like we were going to get there from the day one after the Sandy Derby. But a few days later, he come up with an abscess out of a foot, and end up blowing a little more pus out of it than I thought. It took a little more time to clean up. So just when it didn't look like we were going to get in there, and I was having to mess with that, I just figured I'll just wait and just get him right, and if everything comes together, we'll run the Preakness.
Was that a little bit of a relief?
Yeah, I wasn't too panicked about it, to be honest. Even though you want to run the Derby, I know it costs a lot of money to run in there, and a lot of horses don't come back well from it. So if he wasn't on his game, his A game, I wasn't going to go anyways.
Mike, a lot of times when people are going towards the Derby, they can't get in for whatever reason. That Preakness, they think, well, you know what? There ain't going to be 20. There could be 8 or 9 of them. Were you all surprised when you found out that it looks like it's going to overfill for the Preakness?
There's many horses that excluded from the Derby. I thought there'd be a bunch of fresh horses coming in there, but I was a little worried that I may not get in. But the criteria is a little different than the Derby. I guess they take the first 7 off graded earnings, and his Calbred stake win helps him here, so he should have no trouble getting in. So after I heard that, I was relaxed. He's doing great, so I just want to keep him there and take my shot.
Trainer Derek Ryan talks about Schoolyard Dream's chances of beating Super Saver once again in the Preakness.
Schoolyard Dreams looks like he's Preakness bound, and your colt did outfinish Super Saver the one time they met. Is there an added sense of frustration having to watch from the sidelines due to the graded stakes earnings?
Yeah, it was a little bit frustrating watching the race when we see the Derby winner and we finish in front of him, or one time we met him, but that's racing.
He made this one long sustained run in the Tampa Bay Derby and the Wood Memorial, really. Is he a horse that just has that one long sustained run? Is he a little one-paced?
Well, I'm one of them guys that basically aim for a race, and spent the whole winter, the whole last December aiming for the Tampa Derby, and that was my main goal. And I went into it expecting to win it, and we just things didn't work out. They jocked moved a little too soon, and it was one of those things. Like I said, we expected to win it and move from there straight to the Kentucky Derby, but that's the way it goes.
Brett Calhoun was poised for a big day at Lone Star on Saturday, saddling 3 favorites on the card.
Looking at the race, how do you see it shaping up? Do you see him as a lone speed?
No, I don't necessarily see him as lone speed. There's a horse that broke his maiden sprinting last time on the front end. He could be company up front. I definitely think I'm the fastest horse in the race. I just don't want to be going a suicide thing.
What do you think about the distance? This is going to be his first time beyond 6 furlongs.
Well, we had planned on running him at Oak Lawn, the Northern Spur, and the race didn't fill. It was a 1-mile race, a short wire, and I felt pretty confident going into that. Race didn't fill. Here we are going a mile 16, extra 16th a mile. I think he's a quality horse. I think the jury's out whether he'll go that far or not.
Now a quarter of a mile to go. Game on Dude. And Game on Dude finds the front at the top of the stretch. Kreider might be the main danger on the outside, and there's an eighth of a mile to go. It is Game on Dude by a length. Kreider going to try to grind him down on the outside, but it is Game on Dude. They race to the 16th pole, and Game on Dude. Martin Garcia, a successful sojourn back to Texas, and Bob Baffert wins his 4th Lone Star Derby. It's Game on Dude.
Calhoun swept both divisions of the Texas Stallion Stakes, the first with his colt Coyote Legend.
He came along late in the year. He's one of those horses that started improving late in the 2-year-old year and was improving every day. As soon as we got him going a little farther, he continued to improve. His last out was probably his toughest race on him, first against the older horses. And he got put in some situations he'd never been in before. And he didn't win impressively, but he got the job done. I think he learned a lot and he'll move forward off that.
And Lissa started. El Oso is second. Royal Hay Patch is driving. Then it's Wild Mutter and Big Texas Daddy. They race to the top of the stretch, and Coyote Legend. Coyote Legend now straightens away in search of his 5th consecutive win, and he's got a big lead. Racing in second is Royal Hay Patch, and not much late speed after that. April's Picture maybe for 3rd, but Coyote Legend, just wind him up and off he goes. Coyote Legend, unbeatable these days, much the best.
On the edge, John feels the Calhoun vibe, picking Tin Top Cat to take the Got Coco division of the Texas Stallion Stakes.
And Tin Top Cat will be my top pick in this race as we look at the field from top to bottom. And Tin Top Cat is in very good form. Now here is a big key for Tin Top Cat. Yes, she lost last time, but look closely. It was a race for 3-year-olds and up, so she was running against older rivals. So to me, this is like a victory in defeat. She was in a field of 10 and actually finished second, defeating a number of older fillies and mares in this race. Now, what had she done prior to this? She had rattled off 3 consecutive stakes victories against fillies her own age. At Sam Houston Race Park, she won twice. She won a big stake at Delta Downs. To me, she is the one to beat in this race.
A lot of chances now racing at the quarter pole. It is Tin Top Cat, Camille's Appeal. She's a Bond Girl, again went wide. At the rail is Legendary Day. There's Dixieland Baby 2. They race for the final furlong. Dixieland Baby now rallying best. And it's Dixieland Baby takes the lead. Tin Top Cat on the inside second. Camille's Appeal between them. It is Dixieland Baby and Tin Top Cat. Tin Top Cat is coming back. Tin Top Cat at the rail. Tin Top Cat comes back and wins the Texas Stallion Stakes.
Bill Kasner talked about Drosselmeyer's highly anticipated return to the track in the Dwyer Stakes.
Drosselmeyer, high hopes for him early on in the year. You step back a little bit after a 3rd in the Louisiana Derby, but we see him on the card for Belmont on Saturday in the Dwyer, the prep for the Belmont. How's he doing?
He couldn't be training better. We always thought he was one of our top horses on the Derby trail, and he incurred some trouble in a couple of his races and couldn't quite get enough earnings. And but he's certainly a horse that looks like he's well suited for the Belmont. He can run all day. He's a grinder, and so we have high hopes for him.
And I know Elliott said it would be a great problem to have both he and Super Saver pointing to the Belmont, and have to wonder how you would handle that situation.
That's what we call high-class problems. Those are the problems you want to have. Yeah, those that'd be great if we could have both of them in there.
Trainer Cam Gambelotti recounts some of Soaring Empire's tougher trips during his campaign.
As far as Soaring Empire goes, Cam, not a lot of quote-unquote blazing speed in the race. Does that affect how you approach it?
I told Eddie this morning, and he was in Monmouth this morning, and I told him, I said, listen,
I mean, I think everybody's going to figure out there isn't going to be much pace here. But, yet you say that sometimes a race, everybody thinks the same thing. So, I'm leaving it to him. He's rode this horse every time. He loves this horse. And I assume we're going to be up close or could be on the lead. I told them they're just going to crawl away from there and they give you the lead, that's fine, I mean, we're going to run our own race. But assumably he's going to be up close. I mean, he's run 4 times, and he's had trouble 4 different times, okay? Every race he's had trouble. Hopefully today with a small field and a long run down the backside where, you assume they're just going to be sort of galloping along early, that, he'll get his place in good position and, whether it's on the lead, second, third, and we'll see what he's all about.
You mentioned he's had trouble in all his races. How difficult is it to watch a colt with this kind of talent and this kind of pedigree not be able to show what he's capable of because of traffic conditions like that?
Well, he's just been unlucky. The first race, I didn't want to run him 5.5, but we've had problems with him vanning, and we've had problems at the gate, just immaturity, and I ran him 5.5, and Mom, because it was closing weekend and really wanted to go farther, was going to go to New York, but I said, let me do that. So he broke flat-footed and had to, steady and circle the field and went going away in a pretty good field, probably the best maiden race of the year. And then at Churchill, he got boxed in between horses, and he just got trapped in there. He tried to get out, banged around pretty good, and looked like he was going to back off and come running again at the wire. Just immature, and then again the same thing in the allowance race at Gulfstream. The horse next to him wiped him out at the gate. He was dead last. Circled the field and won. And the last time was just mostly his fault, just the immaturity of the crowd and everything. He just reacted to everything wrong.
On ATO, Gary avoids the Drosselmeyer bandwagon and gets himself paid.
Because here in the Dwyer trying that sweeping turn at Belmont for a horse that kind of grinds, has a long stride, not a lot of turn of foot. Could be perfect situation for him, but he's not the only contender in this race.
Top to bottom well matched. Second choice on the morning line, Remand, maybe Lone Speed, and then there's that Zito guy at the bottom, Fly Down. I know you like a little bit.
I like Fly Down quite a bit in this race. This is a horse that got very good this winter down in Florida, beat a horse named First Dude in an allowance race. First Dude himself would go on to be third in the Bluegrass and is now going to try the Preakness. You can see here, that's First Dude ahead of him, getting to the front now. Fly Down on his outside, a little tardy to switch leads, but he's going to kind of grind it out, get past this horse, and win a tough photo. Off of this race, he left Gulfstream Park because Nick wanted to run Icebox in the Florida Derby. They sent him to Louisiana. He had a terrible trip there, stuck behind horses, as much trouble as Drosselmeyer had in front of him. It was a pinball effect, and he ended up with worse trouble behind him. Throw his Louisiana Derby race out. I think this horse can come back and rebound. Sharp work at Churchill before this. Nick Zito maybe wins the Dwyer.
Fly Down has come away with the lead, and Fly Down strikes the 8th pole, clear by 4. Drosselmeyer runs in second, then Remand on the outside, and Soaring Empire toward the rail, looking very good indeed, was Fly Down by 6 commanding lengths.
Gary grabs another winner in the Hollywood Wildcat from Calder.
And Cherokee Queen is a filly that had just no luck in her last 2 races on the Gulfstream Park turf course whatsoever for Graham Motion, excuse me. Marty Wolfson now takes over control of this filly. Like I say, trouble on the far turn in the last 2 races. She's only beaten a couple lengths in the Honey Fox Stakes, which was a tougher race than what she's in at Calder coming up this week in the Hollywood Wildcat. If she can get just a little bit luckier here than what she got in this optional allowance race, where she got checked and shuffled back in the turn, now has to swing to the outside and kind of re-rally it into that Gulfstream turf course that really helps speed horses more than it does closers. But you can see she's full of run, really lengthening her stride. It's not her fault she's gotten beat the last couple of times. Easier spot at Calder. I think she's the filly to beat in here for sure, a deserving favorite.
And Cherokee Queen is close enough, if good enough, 3 wide as they make the swing for home. Zip Trick entertaining Cherokee Queen, Musical Romance closing from 4th. Zip Trick trying to hold them all at bay. Zip Trick, Musical Romance closing fast at the inside. Now Cherokee Queen is hitting her best stride. Cherokee Queen outside of Zip Trick. They come to the line. Cherokee Queen up in time.
Victory was sweet for Candy Cane in the Unbridled Sydney Stakes from Churchill Downs.
Less than a quarter of a mile to go, and the leader now is Knockout Bertie. Towards this one's outside is Selva in second. Valentine Fever trying to get a seam to the inside is Candy Kane. Inside the final furlong, Selva has got a slender lead. Knockout Bertie battling back to the hedge. Here on the outside, Ivory Empress, and between horses, Candy Kane. Candy Kane goes through to win. Candy Kane takes the Unbridled Sydney. In second was Ivory Empress tight. Third, Knockout Bertie towards the inside of Selva.
On the anniversary of his Derby victory, Seattle Slews trainer Billy Turner Jr. remembers the Triple Crown champ.
What were your thoughts back in 1977 as you approached the Run for the Roses?
Well, to use Horatio Laurel's terms, I was avoiding squeezing the lemon too soon. I really felt that this horse, if there were ever, of any horse I'd ever seen, had a real shot of winning the Triple Crown. And the Derby was just a necessary step along the way.
Billy, what was it about Jean Cruguet that fit this horse so well? In fact, why Jean Cruguet out of all the riders at the time?
Well, this horse was very, very hyper, and he's very strong and positive about where he was going, and you had to have somebody with very good hands to regulate him without getting in a fight with him, because you couldn't battle with him about anything and win. So, and Cruguet suited him just right down to the ground. Terrific pair of hands.
What was it about this $17,500 purchase that immediately caught your eye?
Well, the thing is, all you saw when I saw him on the farm before we broke him was a very underdeveloped 2-year-old or yearling, and but the thing is, he had the bone. He had what you could see would be the size, and when you filled out the angles were all right in the way the bones were put together, and so you just pictured it with fleshed out and strong. Well, physically you had something that was possible. We didn't know mentally that you'd have that aspect there at the time, but that appeared later on.
Author Rudy Alvarado called into Race Day to talk about his upcoming Garrett Gomez biography.
Well, the reason we're speaking with you this morning/afternoon on the East Coast, Rudy, is the fact that you've been chosen to write Garrett Gomez's biography. Now, how did this come about?
Well, as I was studying and researching the Joe Hernandez book, I had come across Garrett's story a number of times and was intrigued by all of the obstacles that he had overcome, the drug abuse, the alcohol abuse. And, I always thought it would be nice to learn more about Garrett and his struggles. And a few weeks ago, I was contacted by Garrett's entertainment agent, David Arroyos, and he told me that Garrett was very interested in me writing his story as it related to his drug and alcohol abuse, and mixed in with his life story as well. And so needless to say, I was pleasantly surprised and already knew a lot about Garrett, and felt I was up to the challenge and agreed to do it. I met with Garrett. We had a very nice discussion while I was at Santa Anita the last time, and we've taken it from there. I've had an opportunity to talk to him already a few times, and I tell you, we've had some very eye-opening, frank discussions about his life and his and all of the challenges that he's overcome.
That's all for this week on HRTV. Here's a look at what's coming up next week.
Martin Garcia, a successful sojourn back to Texas, and Bob Baffert wins his 4th Lone Star Derby. It's Game on Dude. Dixieland Baby and Tin Top Cat. Tin Top Cat is coming back. Tin Top Cat at the rail. Tin Top Cat comes back and wins the Texas Stallion Sure maybe for third. But Coyote Legend just wind him up and off he goes. Coyote Legend, unbeatable these days, much the best.